Okay. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you're based. We'll just give it a couple of minutes for participants to enter, and then we'll get started. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get started. So I think that's enough time to wait for everyone. Anybody else, I'm sure they'll catch up as we join. So everybody, thank you very much for joining. My name is Conor O'Driscoll. I'm the VP of the OTC platform here at Devexperts. And today we're going to discuss setting up your brokerage for the long-term play. Very much discussing what it means to select the right technology. This is, of course, going to relay into our DXtrade platform, but overall, we're going to discuss what it really means when you're considering selecting a new platform and what you should really consider when it comes to that. So what we're going to run through today a little bit is, I suppose, the considerations a broker should take into account when selecting a new platform, the benefits and pitfalls that can come when you are selecting a new technology, the implications of building upon legacy technology, again, the importance, I suppose, of using technology in your platform as a tool for client retention. And then we're going to discuss a little bit about our platform and how we feel that your platform can be a differentiator and can kind of help you stand out as a brokerage. So to get started, I want to talk a small bit about Devexperts. Devexperts is the company behind the DXtrade platform. We're in the fintech industry long before it was a buzzword to be fintech. We're around about 17 plus years, nearly 18 now. Our probably most renowned platform is the Thinkorswim platform that's used by TD Ameritrade, soon to be TD Ameritrade Charles Schwab. So that platform was our foundation, and we've continued then to build a multitude of platforms across asset classes over the past 17 years. Our platforms have had over 6 million users worldwide, so we've had quite a lot of experience in what we're doing across asset classes and what we've built. As a company, we have over 500 software engineers. So as a software development company, we focus on custom development for platforms or off-the-shelf platforms like we'll introduce today with DXtrade. As a company, we're quite global. We have offices in the US, in New Jersey, Portugal, where we have an R&D office, the UK, where I'm based with a number of salespeople and some account managers. We also have offices in Bulgaria, Turkey, Singapore. So as a company, we're quite well spread. Has worked quite well during this remote working time, but in general, sorry, I forgot Germany also, which is listed there. So in general, we're quite well spread. We're quite a global presence. So that's a little bit about us. And without further ado, I'd like to go into speaking a little bit about today's presentation and the main points we're going to discuss. The whole idea of today, as I said, is to discuss the long-term view of a brokerage. So being a trading platform provider, we're quite experienced when it comes to helping brokers to select the right platform and what they'd like to do. So one thing that we always seem to see, especially in the CFD market, is a lack of people taking a long-term view. So what often happens and what we see a lot of is brokers looking at their current needs and not taking into account their future needs. What normally tends to happen when you focus on the short term without looking at the long term is, of course, you have an upfront investment, you commit to a platform, and then after a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, you need to go and reinvest in technology, and you're not taking into account your future needs, potentially the change in the demographic of your traders, how the world is shifting and how technology is shifting. So brokers really need to balance these needs and requirements before they invest in new technology. So if you're a new broker and you decide to adopt an old platform, this really is a short-term solution. So there's implications that will come there later. And a lot of the time, if you're not taking a longer-term view, it ends up being expensive. So for you, it can be expensive, it can be problematic. And again, if you take a platform that isn't really evolving, if it's not developing further, then you're just taking a stagnant technology. So your current needs may make you competitive, but your long-term future needs will make you uncompetitive. And again, it will be costly, especially for smaller, newer brokers. So that brings us to the next point, I suppose, which is does your platform make you competitive? Now, there's always been a tendency in the CFD and the FX market to focus on taking existing technology that everybody else has. And while that makes sense, it also makes it quite difficult to be competitive. What it usually tends to result in is that we all, as brokers, compete on the same parameters, the same marketing spin, the same offerings for clients. So if we all have the same platform, we all have the same spreads, we all have the same commissions, then it comes down to very much marketing. It comes down to who has the bigger marketing budget. And for smaller and medium brokers, it's very hard to compete against the likes of a Plus 500, eToro, Trading 212, these companies with huge marketing budgets who really dominate the marketing space. So with that, you really need to take into account, does the platform make you competitive, or do you have to try and find another competitive edge outside of the platform? Because if everybody has the same exact setup, then you need to find another way of being competitive. So your platform doesn't give you a competitive edge. You're just jumping into kind of the same offering as everybody else. The next step that we would always kind of encourage people to take into account is, you know, what are the add values for the broker and for the clients with the platform you're selecting? So does your platform attract clients? Does your platform retain clients? You know, do you need additional tools? So when you take this platform, am I going to have to pay additional for a plugin that I want? Am I going to have to pay for, you know, multiple plugins? Does this all come with the offering? Do I need to do custom development to build things on top of it? All of this needs to be taken into account. On top of tools, you need to take into account, you know, is there added value in terms of, do I have the control to do everything I want with this platform? Also, in terms of added value, there's also taking into account, I suppose, what we would look at as, is there costs that come with taking a platform that maybe you don't take into account when you're looking at the actual outset and making your decisions? So are you taking into account how many people you need to host and maintain this? Do you need system admins? Do you have hosting costs? All of these come into play when you're looking at the add values of a platform, and it's something that we should always take into account when we're choosing one. And then the final point, when selecting and taking into account your platform, is who's building it. There are a lot of very experienced and very good companies that are out there building trading platforms. We're just one of them. There are some fantastic companies that are there, but it's always important to do your due diligence, to look at who else is, you know, clients of that company, how long they've been in existence, and what their track record is. Are they building a best-in-class platform? Have they been doing this and building better platforms over the years? And when you take that into account, it allows you to then, you know, have confidence in that platform. It's, you know, other things that fall into that, along with who's building it, is what's the roadmap for the platform? Is this platform stagnant technology and they've delivered it and it's done? Or is this platform going to continually be evolving? Are there new features, that are new tools coming every 6 months to a year? Am I paying for what I have now with no add-on benefits coming in the future? So all of that should be taken into account when you're looking at who's building your platform and what they're building. So when we discuss building a platform, we need to take into account the benefits, buying a platform. We need to take into account the benefits and pitfalls that come with employing a new technology. So we'll discuss some of the pros and cons that we look at. I will mention that if there's anybody who has any questions throughout this, please pop them into the Q&A and we'll try and address them during different points throughout this webinar. So when you do adopt a new technology, one of the benefits that you can obviously have is a first mover advantage. So that can give you an edge with something new on the market. You can spin it, you can market it, you have something different to other people. And then that falls into our second point, which is a market differentiator. So I mentioned earlier that when you take a platform that everybody else has, we try and compete in a number of different areas. It could be, you know, as I said, spreads, commissions, the instruments you offer, add-on tools, you know, different VIP packages that exist within your client portal, different things that you've built within your websites. All these different things companies are trying to do to stand out. So when you take a new platform, it can often form a market differentiator for you, which means you are having technology that allows you to stand out from your competitors. You've got something different and unique. That in itself allows you to basically have a marketing angle that separates yourself from just marketing competitive spreads and competitive commissions. With that, of course, new technology can bring with it improved capabilities and improved functionality that you don't get with legacy tech or older technology that exists. So it can give you more to build on. It can give you more to promote. It can give your traders a better user experience. Something we always take into account when we're building anything is how important the user experience is for a broker, and especially how important the user experience is for the end user. So the ability to have improved capability and functionality is huge when it comes to that experience for an end user. But when taking new technology, there's obviously pitfalls that are there. The first of those, of course, is the product is unknown. So while you have first mover advantage, there's also the flip side of that, whereby you have a product that's unknown. You have to get it out there, you have to promote it. So that can result in having an increased marketing spend, for instance, whereby you're trying to promote something that no one else has. So you need to get it out there, you need to get it in front of people. So having an unknown product can result in, increasing your marketing spend, and it can result in having time to educate people. So if people aren't used to a platform, as happens with nearly every new platform, there's a period which I've said is liable to teething issues, which is basically there's a period whereby people need to get used to a platform, they need to get educated on the platform, and that takes time. It takes time for the broker, and it takes time for their staff, and it takes time for their clients. So that can take time, and it's a bit frustrating. It's because you're competing against something that's known. So those teething issues can take time to deal with. So it is a small pitfall that exists in adopting a new technology. In line with that, you also have the client adoption can be slow. New technology can take time for, I suppose, mass adoption. That comes with normal product development and more normal product life cycles. You have early adopters, and then it moves into kind of slower early stage adopters, and then you have kind of that core of clients who eventually get there. So when you do take on new technology, there's a level of patience that's required, because you need to be realistic that it won't be a huge success from day one. It will be slow, but once it's out there, once it's known, that should then fulfill, and you move into the normal product life cycle where adoption increases and you have that bell curve that normally exists with new products. So when we talk about client adoption and new technology, we move into something that's quite prevalent in the CFD space, which is trying to attract new clients with the new UI. I quite like this slide. Our marketing did a great job here. For me, this is something that happens an awful lot within the CFD space, which is building a nice new shiny interface, very fancy new UI, and calling it a new web trader. But in reality, you're just building a new trading UI on top of old technology. The reality that strikes me here, and should strike most brokers, is if you're willing to spend money to build a new UI to attract clients, and there's a need to attract clients with a new UI, it's kind of self-defeating to build it on old technology, because underneath you will have all of the same problems that you have that exist now, with freezing due to high volatility, slower performance due to when you have increased load, all of these things that your dealing desks are struggling with during high volatility. NFP, I guarantee anybody on this call has dealt with it, will probably have had some form of freezing issue during those high volatility moments. So when you're building this kind of nice new shiny UI, the indications are there that you need new technology. You are admitting to it because you're building a new web trader to attract people, because you want to show something new and shiny. So in reality, you're going back to our very first point, which is you're taking a short-term solution to a longer-term issue, which is people are looking for newer, better technology. And the problem with adopting a new UI on top of old technology is the actual capability that you have to develop new functionality is fully based on the underlying technology. So you can't actually do everything you would like to do. So what can often happen, and what will happen to a lot of people, I believe, in the coming years, is that you'll end up paying twice. So you'll make the investment up front now, and then in a few years' time, you're going to actually have to replace that old technology that underlies it, and you're going to have to either invest in a completely new technology and a new front end also, or you're going to have to plug in a new back end. So you're not really solving your problem. You're solving it with a short-term solution, and your ability to kind of attract and retain clients is based off that. So you're fulfilling your short-term need, but not taking into account kind of your longer-term goal, which is to have a nice UI with stable performing technology underneath that allows you to kind of continue to develop and to continue to evolve your product. And that comes back to our main point here, which is you're attracting new clients and you're trying to attract or retain clients with this new UI. And that kind of feeds into our point, which is retention and kind of retaining existing clients. So retention is obviously vital within the CFD space. Competition for clients is incredibly intense. Marketing spends are huge. It's very, very difficult to attract clients. So retaining clients should really always be a key focus. With our platform, what we look to do with some of these was to address some of the shortfalls that exist with in platform retention tools. So for a broker, you kind of need to ask, does your platform improve retention? Is there anything within the platform that helps retain your existing clients? You know, are we giving clients more than just the spread? So if not, I would always question, you know, why not? There should always be a way of retaining clients within a platform, because at the end of the day, you know, it's estimated that retention can be up to 25 times cheaper than acquisition. And with the very high cost of acquisition that exists within the CFD and FX space, retention is kind of a no-brainer. So putting money towards there with having things like, you know, in-platform rebates, flexible commission plans, easy ways to have, you know, VIP spread profiles or reduced spreads for particular tools that should exist within your platform and should be easy for you to do. You know, the idea really is, you know, you spend money to save money. So that kind of kicks on and brings us to our point that we will look into, which is, you know, standing out from the crowd. So how you acquire clients with more than the spreads. So anybody who's seen our marketing over the last little while on Finance Magnets, who've been good enough to host this webinar for us today, we've gone with the tagline, which has always been, there's more to trading than just the spread. And we've gone with that because it's the reality. Traders are very, very conscious of the spread, but brokers have got to the point where when you get to point 1, point 2, you can't go lower. You know, you're at that point where you're offering the bare minimum to make a profit off your A-book trades. It's incredibly competitive. People are going lower. So you need some other ways to compete. You can't all compete with the same tools. So that brings us to how we can acquire clients with more than the spread. And for us, it's about using your platform. So now I'm going to move into a bit more of the salesy pitch, because this is a DXtrade webinar after all. So we've covered a lot of stuff that I would take into account related to what we would take into account for buying a platform. And that's not just ours, that's in general. All of those points should be focused in related to buying any platform. They're things that everybody should take into account. For ours, when it comes to our platform, we like the line standing out from the crowd. And the reason for that is because we've built something that we believe is, you know, highly flexible and configurable for a broker. The technology that we have there allows kind of fixed and flexible layouts. There's proprietary information that we have in there. And all of that is kind of built into trying to give brokers the flexibility to offer something that is off the shelf and ready-made, but actually allows you to stand out. So it allows you to be different from one another. And all of this may sound a bit strange, but I'm going to move into showing the demo now in a short second of our front end. And if anybody has any questions, please pop them into the Q&A, and we can deal with some of them now, or we can easily go on and take them towards the end of the session. Okay, so let me just switch over screen, and we will look at the front end of DXtrade. Okay, so I assume everybody can see the trading platform that's there. If not, somebody please throw it into the chat. So this is the DXtrade trading platform. This was built with retail traders solely in mind. DXtrade as a platform was created a number of years ago, and we decided to basically completely overhaul what we'd built and to put a focus on the retail FX and CFD market. So the first point that I would like to mention when we're looking at this is to take into account that it's quite busy. on the platform that you see right now, and this is purely for a demo purpose. So what I'm going to show you is how this platform actually works in terms of setting it up. And what I want anybody here who's a broker or a trader to take into account is that this platform is fully configurable by the broker. So right now, we'll discuss the layouts and how it works, and then we'll move into some of the tools and the functionality that exist within the platform. So DXtrade works on what we call workspaces and widgets. So each of these tabs that you see along the top here, these all form a workspace. So for the purposes of this demo, I'll show you now. If you were to create a new workspace, you have a blank workspace. So if you're a broker, you can imagine that you have this blank canvas and you can decide how you want to set up the layouts for your clients. That layout can be a fixed layout. It can be a fixed layout, or it can be a flexible layout. So the ability to set layouts is very much just a drag and drop technology. We pull things in and you can just add, you know, as many widgets as you want. I think it's up to 16 per window for the workspace. So what we have here when I look at them is we have layout 1, for instance, that I've created myself. Sorry, it's a small bit slow. This is one layout that we created just to give a demo. This is, you know, another layout that we've created. These are just visuals to explain to you, you know, what you can create as brokers. So this is more to look at, I suppose, how a layout looks in the MT4 side of things, with your watch list on the left, your positions at the bottom, and your chart. And then, you know, you've layout 3, which I created this morning, which is just another layout that's there, which is, you know, my watch list in a different view, my chart, my economic calendar, and my positions. So the layouts that exist here, if you look at the top right hand corner, we have top public layouts and we have my layouts. So what can be created here for a broker is the flexibility to create public layouts, which is for everybody, and the user can then create private layouts. Or as a broker, you can basically have fixed or flexible layouts. So the whole goal of what we created with this platform was to essentially create a platform whereby brokers can have the same trading platform, but with different UIs. You can have 2 brokers offering DXtrade the exact same, or you can have 2 brokers offering DXtrade that look completely different because they set up their layouts differently and they basically set up the platforms in different ways. So immediately, the goal of what we were doing was to give brokers control, to give you the ability to set up the platform so it can cater to your different clients. If they're focused on technical analysis, you can have layouts related to technical analysis. If you want something to guide them for beginner traders, it can simply be a watch list with big buttons and a chart and their positions. So it's fully up to the broker to determine this and to set up how you want it to actually, you know, look for your end users. With that in mind, the logo that's here, of course, is replaced by a broker logo. And the logo that sits on the tab, so the favicon up here, is also replaced by a broker logo. That's also done on the login page. So it's not a full white label in that the colors don't change for particular brokers. So the color scheme stays the same, but the logos are basically fully replaced with the broker, and our name is removed then from the front end where you see it as is now. So this is an example of what we have as our homepage, as our main trading layout. The technology that we built when we looked at the platform, one of the main focuses that we had was that the space on a trading screen is at a premium. There is a very limited amount of space, especially when you look at people nowadays are using laptops a lot more than desktops. You're using a one screen view. So with that in mind, we knew that we needed to find a way to optimize the space that we had. And the technology we decided to employ for that was to use tabs. So if you focus on positions, which I have down at the bottom here, we can easily go to my account and decide that we want to combine that with our orders. And now we have our orders tab here as well. Once I have more than one tab, I actually have a little plus button. So I could add my order history, I could add my trade history, and so on and so on and so on. Basically, we've created it whereby traders and brokers can set up their layouts whereby they can combine the widgets that we have into the same view, meaning that they can toggle between tabs. So if they want a one screen setup, as opposed to having all of the workspaces that we have across the top, they can set up the ideal one kind of one screen setup. And that was the goal of what we had with this drag and drop technology. We've been working on it quite a bit. It also exists that, of course, you can move the particular widgets and drag them around. So, you know, you could put charts down at the bottom. You can move it as it is like this. So, you know, the ability to change and drag and drop exists not just obviously for Windows, but for the whole widget space. Even if you have widgets combined, you can kind of drag them in, move it around. And it gives brokers that flexibility and traders a huge amount of flexibility to set up their ideal workspace. So again, this can be as highly customizable and complex as you want, or it can be as simple as you want. So anything that we've seen here in terms of widgets and workspaces can be turned off. So a broker can say, look, fixed layout, I only want these widgets, nothing else added. Or it can be, you know, let my traders build whatever they want and they can, you know, have their ideal setup when they look at the platform. The other things that we kind of wanted to do, so I'm going to move into some of the functionality that exists within the platform. One of them, of course, is linking. Linking is nothing new. You can see the two red dots here. These two are, my watch list is linked with my chart. These are linked. What we also linked was that we actually linked the order size. So my default order size, which you have here, so is 10. So if I click Euro Swiss, you can see now I've updated Euro Swiss and then my trade amount is 10. So we linked not just the actual instrument, but the trading size. So if you have a default trading size that you use for an instrument through one-click trading, if you want to look at that chart and sync it, very easy to do. As a platform, when we kind of move into looking at what we can trade, as standard, we kind of have your normal orders, market limit stop. What we do have that's a little bit different is the OCO, which is one cancels the other. So interesting for trading on retracements or breakouts. People can use OCO orders, not normally seen in the FX CFD space, but we do have them as part of our platform. In terms of protection orders, with the focus that's been on trading education for the last number of years and how prevalent it's becoming with a lot of traders taking on the right fundamental, the right educational tips when it comes to trading and risk management. A lot of traders are obviously told that they should focus on the percentage of balance that they're risking with any one trade. So with that, we added percentage of balance as a parameter. At any one time, if you put in a percentage or anything like that, you can actually see, you know, for here it's higher than 1, but you can see the percentage that you're allowed. So 0.2, for instance, so I can see my price, my pips, my projected loss, and we have the same as a take profit. So with that in mind, we're trying to kind of tap into giving traders the tools that they're being told to use by kind of normal, reputable educators who are telling them never risk more than 2% on any one trade. If you lose a certain percentage a day, don't trade anymore. So we're kind of tapping into that to try to ensure that the tools they need within the platform are easily available. So we'll fire that off. Within here, we also have the ability to right click, and there's a number of things that you can add. We decided when we did the watch list that we wanted to have 2 views. So this is what we call the list view. We also have the tile view, which you can kind of see along the right here. The tile view is more set up for one-click trading. So when I enable my one-click trading, you can see quite easy to trade here, just pop in an order. What we did add for one-click traders is the ability to pre-configure a stop loss and a take profit. So if I'm a one-click trader and I'm scalping, I should still have a level of risk protection that's there. If I'm trying to get in and out quickly, it doesn't make sense that I have to open an order, then go and double click on that order, attach a stop loss, and I've wasted time. So the idea that comes with this is to pre-configure a stop loss and a take profit, so they're there as a protection for you. So when you do enter that order, your stop loss and your take profit are already added and everything that you need is there. On top of that, we also look to ensure that the instrument info is upfront, kind of front and center in a number of different places. So it's on the chart, it's on the watch lists. And the idea being that this information that a trader needs is in the platform and that they don't have to go searching on a website to find the different margin rates if you have tiered margining, the trade sizes, opening hours, or your swap rates. It's all here. It's all in a button that's up front and center. So again, you don't want the trader to get distracted and leave the platform at any time. So we're trying to keep eyes on the platform and keep them kind of involved and engaged with the trading platform. We'll have a quick look here. 1 second. So we do have So we have a quick question here, which I will jump into now. Can I, as a broker, add a personal markup for one trader? Yes, you can. In the backup settings, in the back-end settings that we have for this, settings can be applied. So such as markups, spreads, and margins can be applied on a group level, which is a group of traders for that one parameter, as an instrument level or a client level. So you can drill all the way down to one client. That client can have a different spread to every other client, or a different markup to every other client. He'll see his price. All the other clients will see their price, and the instrument set for all the clients is the exact same. So that covers that one a little bit. What quotes will you see in favorites panel and chart? Favorites panel is set up by the trader themselves. That's just one I've created for this. A broker can set up a number of watch lists which exist in here. So these are my lists which I've set up, and we can have public lists. So the broker can determine whatever they want to go into these public lists here. It could be indices, it could be top 30 instruments, it could be most traded. That's all determined by the broker. So you have the setup there for you to look at, and you can basically define it. So again, configurability and flexibility comes here. So if you want to drive your clients towards trading, FX majors, you can have favorite instruments, most traded instruments here, and that will allow them then to, have that. Or you can have that as your normal watch list that opens every time they open the platform, and that's their default. Okay, next we'll move into looking quickly at the charting, and then we'll move on to some of the additional tools that we've built within the platform. The charting that exists here is proprietary to Devexperts, so it's actually what we call DX charts. It's something that we've built over a number of years. The charting itself allows you to pop the window out. So along with a lot of these windows, if you have multiple screens, you can pop the window out, or you can make the chart into a full screen. And then if you click it again, it will actually bring it back to the same layout. Within the charts, our standard functionality here, you can right click to buy or sell. You can trade from the chart that exists there. The time frames are quite standard, so there's no need to go into the basic stuff. What I do like to show here is the technical indicators. So within the technical indicators that we have, we've created a UI that makes adding and removing or configuring your technical indicators super, super simple. So these are the two that I have at the moment. So if I wanted to remove them, it's a simple X. And if I wanted to add a new indicator, it's literally just a plus button. And then I have my ability to set up the parameters for that indicator underneath. So it's super easy to add multiple indicators and to just configure them from here. So there's no double clicking or right clicking to try and find your indicators and then go into the parameters. Right now, it's very easy to just do it all from within this really friendly UI. You click done, and your indicators will be added. And there we have your indicators now added to your platform. One thing that we did add that was something that was requested was that we added the ability to hide indicators and to hide positions. So while it's important to look at the indicators that you have in play, you may want to look at a clean chart without your indicators and you don't want to remove them. So with that basis, we just actually created a simple hide function whereby I don't have my indicators. I didn't have to remove them, and I can go back and show them. And the same applies for any positions that I have on that instrument. I can remove all of the stuff from the chart, look at a clean chart, and then I can re-add it and try and make it as easy as possible. Looking at what we have within this UI, the last thing that we would look at is what we have along the bottom, which is, I suppose, your account information and your trading information. You have the standard stuff that really exists here. Your positions are here. We have a close all functionality. There's a close by functionality, very similar to what exists in other platforms within this space. We have our orders, which are our pending orders that are there. We have order history, which gives a little bit more information than some places, in that we can see my position was closed by a take profit. I removed a stop loss. My take profit was triggered, the trigger rate for my take profit, my close rate for my take profit. So again, the user can see if there's potential slippage that exists within there. It gives them, it's not quite a journal, but it gives them a bit of a log to see it. And the idea being that ideally that traders may not come to a broker with the silly questions that they always get, because it's actually front and center and they can find it in the platform. I know that's kind of blue sky thinking, and that people won't come to live chat to ask why a trade closed, but ideally with the information being there, hopefully they will. I mentioned earlier that trading education is a big thing that we've got and we're focusing on with traders. So with that, we decided when we were building the platform that we wanted to build a couple of tools that would cater towards that space. So these tools were basically named the trading dashboard, which is refreshing. There we go. So this is a demo account, so the success on this is purely down to it being demo. What we wanted to do was to give traders an indication of how they're actually performing. Now, I will say any of the widgets that you see here, if you're a broker and you don't want this widget, we just turn it off. So again, this comes back down to configurability. If you don't like something we have, we don't need to actually plug it in, or we don't need to have it. We can just remove it, and your version doesn't have it. So again, it kind of it's determined by the broker as to what they want to see or what they want their traders to see. So here we have some basic information related to trading. We highlight some areas where traders are doing the right things or the wrong things, such as holding a winning trade longer than losing trade. When your average winning trade is higher than your average losing trade, these are important here. The instruments you've traded, so positive and negative, you know, how you've performed, what's your most frequently traded. So for me, it's Aussie dollar. And then your per day traded net P&L, which is basically to look at, I suppose, how I'm performing on a weekly basis, day to day. Do I have overconfidence at any point? Am I, you know, trading brilliantly Monday to Wednesday, and then I start kind of leveraging up Thursday and Friday, and I end up losing money and taking more risks? So this is what we kind of adopted with the trading dashboard. This was very much a proof of concept. So far, the feedback has been quite positive, but again, every broker has their own tastes related to these kinds of tools. When I look at the trading journal, this one was really created with education in mind. This trading journal is copied directly from your trading history. So a trader doesn't have to add anything here. It's automatically copied over. And the idea here is to allow traders to add notes to every trade that they enter. Most traders are doing this via Excel, or they're doing it with a third-party software that costs them money every month, which is, you know, nonsense. It should be part of a platform. So what traders can do is they can tag whether a trade was, you know, news, impulse strategy, market event, or an error trade. So they made the incorrect entry, or they didn't stay within their trading strategy or their risk parameters. And we can also add a note to each trade and the position overall. And the goal here is obviously to allow traders to have the ability to log and document what they've been doing, so that they can actually try and improve their trading and they have a record of what they've been doing. So as I said, it's copied directly from trade history. There's nothing they need to do. And then they can use here to actually just focus on their trading and to make notes of what they're doing to try and improve. The next one we wanted to show was just to demonstrate how a trader can actually set up multiple workspaces. So if a trader wants to set up a workspace that focuses purely on technical indicators related to one instrument, they can set up a multi-time view. Same indicators apply to all four, and they could do that to have GBP CAD. They could add a watch list here. They could trade from here. They could add in positions. The whole point of this is to show the flexibility of the platform, and that it can cater to a beginner trader with the simple clicking from the homepage that exists there that a broker sets up, or it can go all the way to a more advanced trader, which basically allows them to set up all the technical analysis they want without upsetting where they trade from. So they could come here to GBP CAD, they could have one for Euro dollar, one for cable, and that allows them then to focus on specific instruments. And finally, within the platform, what we added recently, I'm sure anyone who saw it on Finance Magnets, was that we integrated the FX economic calendar. So looking at the big news of today for the ECB interest rate decision, we have the drop down whereby you link out to seeing it if you want to take that link to go outside of the platform, or you can just read the information on this. And of course, this is updated in real time along with the FX Street. So when that information comes in, a trader sees it directly from the platform without having to go to, you know, the Forex Factory or any of the other places for that. So overall, this is the brief view of the platform. I will take one question that we've had now, which is what types of financial instruments are supported. So at the moment, the platform supports CFDs and spread bets. So anything that can be turned or created into a CFD can be supported here. And also spread bets are covered also. The other question related to the dark and light themes. Currently, this is the only color scheme that we have, but there is a plan in the future to look at adding a light scheme. So if there is interest in that, it's something that we're obviously willing to look at. As a company, this platform is continually evolving. We have plans for, you know, upwards of the next year to continue evolving and adding new tools and new functionality into this platform. So user feedback here will definitely drive the decisions that we make to the shape of the platform, especially with clients giving us feedback. So that's something that we're always open to discussing. So with that in mind, I will move back briefly to our slides so we can do this. Okay, so let me just take us back to where we were. Apologies. Okay, so we addressed the tools that we said are proprietary of trading tools. This is to look at trader education more than anything. That's kind of our focal point, is to give value to the end user, not just the broker. Our goal is to help you build your client base. So by building tools that help you do that, you know, both companies are successful. So our absolute end goal is to ensure that the platform delivers for brokers and for end users. Again, we have here that off the shelf can be customized. So DXtrade platform has a level of white labeling. As I've shown you, the layouts are fully customizable. So, you know, it's driven by you. It's driven by the broker and what you want to actually focus on and push to a client within the platform. In terms of watch list, it's the same. While today we are limited on the ability to show the back end just due to time, everything is highly configurable. So we're not limited by having to put all clients into a particular group. And then if we want to change one client, we need to create a whole new group with all the same settings except for a spread. We work on isolated group settings. So what you can actually do is have multiple clients with different margins and the same spread, or multiple clients with different spreads and the same margin. It's highly configurable. So if anybody is interested in seeing that, of course, we're happy to provide in-person demos after this. They can easily be set up, and the information will be in the last slide. The model that we work on with this platform, it's fully hosted and maintained by Devexperts. So it's a software as a service commercial model. There is a setup fee that comes with the platform delivery. We deliver the platform to you in a demo version at first. We work through the setup and integrate your LPs, and then you're delivered the live version of the platform, at which point then we begin, I suppose, going live and working with you in a live environment. What we have at the moment, we work with the volume-based fees. These are highly flexible. We'd invite anybody to come speak with us about this. We don't have any hidden costs. There's no additional stuff that's plugged in there. Mobiles are all part of the package. There's no additional fee for mobiles. It can be white labeled to add white labels on top of it. There's a one-time fee for a white label, and after that, there's no fee. So we're highly flexible as a company in how we approach this stuff. We've been around for a long time, and this is our first foray into offering an off-the-shelf solution. So we're bringing our, I suppose, our near 20 years of custom development and bringing it to the off-the-shelf world and the CFD world. With that in mind, I'll have a brief look at any of the questions that we have left, and then we'll look at wrapping things up for today. So one of the first ones here is, can the platforms be delivered in different currencies? Yes, clients can trade in any currency that you would like them to. That's not a problem for us. That's more than available. Okay, one sec. So that one we have. There's a question related to options. Victor John, I'd ask you to get in touch with me directly afterwards, and we can run through what you have in mind related to options. We have a number of options offerings. So whether we do it as a CFD option or as something that we have within this platform or another platform, we cater to all of these. It's kind of the benefit of being a custom development house. We have an array of different platforms, so we can actually do that. It's not a problem. Yuri has a question related to, if we use some synthetic instruments generated on your side, how can we integrate with Devexperts? As long as it comes to a price feed, Yuri, we're more than capable of doing that. We would just set up the instrument info in the standard way we would for any other CFD. So as long as you have the info, if you want, related to the instrument parameters and its setup, we plug it in like any other instrument, and it's priced and done that way. So again, I'd ask you to reach out to us directly, and we can run through the back end setup to show you how all of that works and give a personal demo for that. The only other one that we see here is as the platform functionality to work with agents, IBs. There is not currently a setup in there for a IB infrastructure. So if there's something related to IBs, then I would more than likely we look towards a third party that we would deal with for that, such as a particular CRM provider that has the IB infrastructure, as it doesn't currently exist. We do have plans to add it, but it's not something that's there at the moment. So that would be the answer to that one. And I think that brings us pretty much to the end of what we have today. If there's any other questions, we'll give it a minute for people to type in. Otherwise, I would encourage anyone to contact the sales@devexperts.com, or please feel free to get in touch with me directly via LinkedIn or any other way that you have. We're more than happy to provide a demo or to discuss with anyone their needs related to this. Which CRM is supported via DXtrade? Any CRM that you want to use, we've integrated with a number of CRM. It's simply a case of just the integration. And how long does it take for a new broker to be onboarded? Ideally, we would deliver the demo version of the platform to you within 10 days, 10 working days, so 2 weeks. After that 2-week period, during that 2-week period, we would integrate with your liquidity provider. And once that is done, the integration is completed. If your liquidity provider is somebody whom we've integrated with in the past, then everything should be delivered pretty much within that 10-day time frame. If it's a new liquidity provider, it would probably take another week or so above that. So we'd ideally be looking to 3 weeks to have you live and ready to go. Again, we will handle any of that stuff. If anybody has a question related to it, we're more than happy to kind of discuss this stuff on a personal demo or to send commercials or any information. So that kind of wraps it up. I'd like to thank everybody for your time today. We've had a very good attendance, over 40 participants throughout, which has been great. I'm sure there's some Devexperts people mingled in there. But in general, thank you all very much for attending, and please do reach out. We would really like to provide demos to kind of show you a little bit more about what the back end can offer. The risk management infrastructure that's there is fantastic. It's very impressive. So I'd love to be able to show it in a little bit more detail. And in general, thank you all very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and please do get in touch.